CBS Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Jim Rome, and I am pumped to be a part of CBS Sports Radio. Join me every weekday at 9 on Las Vegas's new sports station, CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to more of the 19th Hole Weekend Edition. I'm Dennis Overscone with Lee Smith, and right now, it is time for Pace of Play.
Now, it's Pace of Play.
Come on, Glenn! Come on! Get your head in the damn game!
Putting the boys on the clock.
I guess we're playing for keeps now.
The fuck?
All right, Lee, grip it and rip it. John Daly, in a very recent poll, had the dubious distinction, if you want to call it that, of being voted the second most untrustworthy athlete, and apparently has become, as I've been saying for a while, it's getting a little tiresome with the sponsors, with the fans, and so on and so forth. He was right behind, I forgot the fellow that was just the baseball player that was just suspended for 60 or 65 games.
Ryan Braun was on the list.
That's correct.
But he was actually behind Marion Jones, the track
runner.
athlete.
That's right.
Yep.
But fair or unfair to Big John, he's had personal problems, as you know. He's got the drinking and the divorces, and his wife getting thrown in jail for the fraud, the gambling thing. Hanging out at Hooters too much. Just an unbelievable waste of talent as far as golf goes. But do you think this is a fair label or not?
Well, I hate to waver here, but what is the question? What is the poll question? Would I trust John Daly with my kids? No. Would I trust him with my money? No.
That was the question.
But do I take John Daly at face value of what he tells me is true? Absolutely. The guy's never been untrustworthy as far as lying to the public. I disagree with you. I don't think he's tiresome to fans. I do agree that sponsors are a little tired. They've been tired for a long time.
Yeah.
I think golf course organizers and tournament organizers are probably tired of his act, but people hang in there for that train wreck factor, and to put him on a list with Lance Armstrong and Alex Rodriguez and Ryan Braun and these guys that have looked at the camera and said, I didn't do drugs, and then it's found out later that they admit then that they did, that's untrustworthy to me. John Daly shouldn't be on this list.
Well, I kind of agree with you. I mean, it is what it is, and you have to sympathize with the guy, and everybody's pulling for him, obviously, to get his life together again. But he's just not taking advantage of the opportunities that have been given to him, Lee. And I don't see him taking advantage and straightening up his act in the near future.
No, I agree with what you just said, but that's not untrustworthy to me.
I agree. I agree.
All right. Hey, Phil Mickelson. We talked a little bit about him last week, obviously winning a couple tournaments in a row. Kind of a two-part question. Is Phil Mickelson number one in your mind right now? And in the coming weeks, will he take over the number one spot in the official world golf ranking, whether you care or not?
Number one, to answer your question very succinctly, no. He's not going to get close to Tiger in the world ranking, especially the way that the Tiger is playing right now. Number one, obviously a terrific year for Phil, as you mentioned. Won the Scottish Open, turns around and wins the British Open. Playing horrible at the World Golf event thing. He's not going to become number one in the next couple of weeks or in the foreseeable future. And as far as being the number one golfer right now in the world, I just don't think so. He's having a hell of a year, yes. But I just don't see it for Phil right now as far as people looking at him in that vein right now.
Well, let me throw a couple things out to you, and you're exactly right. Phil Mickelson is actually closer in points on the official world golf ranking to Ian Poulter in 15th, than he is to Tiger in first.
That's a good point. Very good point.
According to the numbers, Phil could win this week and the PGA Championship and still not take over number one, which – a totally separate question, shows the flaw in the official world golf ranking system. You win 4 freaking tournaments in a row, and you don't take over number one with 2 of them being majors. That's crazy. But the fact of the matter is I don't think Phil cares. And it's crazy to think that Phil's never been number one in his entire career. And guys like Luke Donald and Lee Westwood and some of these guys that haven't won majors have been number one. Freddie Couples, Tom Lehman,
Martin
that
Keimer.
have won one major. Have been number one in the world. If you gave a choice of a U.S. Open title versus number one in the world for the rest of his life, Phil would take the U.S. Open title.
Probably so. Probably so. But real quickly, Lee, can you explain to me what the allure is? What is the attraction that Phil Mickelson has to fans? I just don't see it. I just don't get it.
Well,
sure, purportedly a great family man, obviously a terrific golfer, charity work and this and that. But what is this purported magnetism that draws fans to this guy? I don't get it.
I think I do. Just seeing it is that he's approachable. He's the guy that's touching people's hands when he walks through a crowd. I mean, aside from the autographs, the charity, the family, because a lot of guys do that.
Yeah.
Some of it's public, some of it's not. But the guy is very approachable. He's a regular guy, so to speak, or gives off that perception when he's in public. Whereas a lot of other guys are walking right down the middle of that little tunnel so they don't get touched or don't have to touch anybody.
Yeah.
Phil's walking next to the walls, and he wants to touch people, and he wants to say hello and give the thumbs up and the fist bump and all that type. Whether you like it or not, I think that's how he connects.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. All right, for people that really follow the World Cup, and I don't think there's a hell of a lot of people that do. I don't know why this event has been around as long as it has, but Lee, the PGA Tour has adopted some rule changes in how you qualify for the World Cup, which is a worldwide competition. They're making it more similar to what it's going to be like for the 2016 Olympics. And my question to you, does anybody care that much about the World Cup? If you asked 10 people who won the World Cup last year, I don't think you could get a right answer. And should you care about the rule changes? Do you think it's going to gear them up any differently for having to qualify for the Olympics in 2016?
Well, if you ask people who won the World Cup, they're probably going to say Brazil. Okay,
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
I think this change is good to obviously bring some synergy to the qualifying process for the Olympics.
And real quick, let me just for people that might not be. Under the rules of the Olympics, you could have 2 or 3 or even 4 countries that have to play under one flag. Where in the World Cup, you could have one individual from a country go or 4 people from a country go. They don't bundle them together, so to speak.
For example, like Wales, Scotland, and England
That's
all
correct.
play under Great Britain.
Correct.
But I didn't even know the World Cup still was going on, to be honest with you.
There you go. There you go.
I think that's the answer to the question. And I remember back in the day when Davis Love and Freddie Couples dominated this thing, and it was kind of front and center.
Yeah.
But that was also when our best players went.
Yeah.
Now, Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods haven't been in 10 years played in the thing. So that's the unfortunate. The concept of it is good, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
It'll just be interesting to see if any of our good players want to go and play.
Right. Exactly.
All right, pairings for the PGA Championship were officially released yesterday. Anything as you kind of scour the pairings? Anything jump out at you? Anything interesting?
No, I don't think they're doing anything out of the norm. Of course, the first thing, the Premier Group, they bundle the guys, pair the guys that have won prior majors together. That's
Mickelson, Scott, and Rose.
That's been a standby, and you've got some Premier pairings, obviously, but nothing I think different, nothing unique, nothing novel. I think it's going to be a very interesting tournament at Oak Hills.
No, I agree with you. There wasn't really anything that jumped out at me. The PGA of America, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I mean, you remember how critical we are of when the USGA let the kindergarten class do the pairings and paired Charlie, and Charles together in the same group just to be funny. I think the PGA of America does it right. They pair a lot of their past champions together.
Exactly.
Do too. To the Sean McKeel's, David Toms, Rich Beam, or who's Toms, Harrington, and Y.E. Yang are playing together. McKeel, Rich Beam are playing together, past champions of the PGA Championship. One thing that I thought might be a little interesting is the Woods Bradley Davis Love pairing that came out. Keegan Bradley, as I understand it, Keegan and Tiger Woods are cordial.
Yeah.
But Keegan is definitely in Camp Phil if there was such a thing.
Correct.
So that could be interesting. And another thing, and I don't know what the television coverage is, but as I understand, their group's going to go off number 10 at 8:45 in the morning. Which may miss out on live coverage. 8:45 Eastern. If the coverage comes on at 1 o'clock Eastern or that type of thing, it may lose a lot of which is rare to not have Tiger live. But we'll see.
Well, like I say, I enjoy the PGA Championship. I think it's the weakest of the four majors, but still, it's some very good competition. Obviously, they get a terrific field. It's and again, I just think it's the kind of tournament that breeds somebody coming out of nowhere to win it, or a first-time major championship winner or something like that. So we're going to have to look for that. Speaking of Oak Hill, Tiger recently made some comments about Oak Hill, about the golf course that they're playing, because there are two there. It's a great track. It's opened 1901 or something like that. Donald Ross design, par 70. He said the greens were not in great shape. They were a little bit slower than they should be. A couple of other disparaging remarks. Smart for him to say that a few days before going there and playing.
Well, if history serves us well, that means he's going to win. Phil made some pretty disparaging remarks about the R&A or about their golf course setup, and then he turns around and wins.
Yeah.
I like the honesty here. If he gets asked a question about going up there and practicing and playing a couple practice rounds and what kind of golf shape the golf course was in and what kind of number does he see winning and all those types of things, I want to hear his honesty. Now, Oak Hill made their comment that said, Tiger, the timing was bad because they're actually letting him rest because just like anything, you put that much stress over a 7 or 8 day period of preparing them to roll 12 and 13 on the stimp meter. They're going to get stressed out, so they wanted to get him healthy to where they could mow him down. But as far as the question, I like Tiger being honest here.
I do too, and I think other people would be honest too. They might broach it a little bit differently, but I do too. And to look at this golf course when you first see it, you think, well, sure, it's a nice venue, great design, Donald Ross course, old traditional, but this golf course is going to play toughly, and I don't think people realize most of this thing is uphill. I mean, I think it's got a slope close to 150, and that's major.
Yeah, well,
excuse the pun.
Yeah, you remember the that shot that Sean McKeel hit there.
That 7-iron,
when he won, hit it to 2 inches. I mean, that thing was straight uphill.
Yeah,
hitting it into that thing. So I think it's fun. Look, it's always fun for a major to be played and to watch a major. So speaking of that, like we always do here, I need. Let's talk about a pick, to win the thing, and then a dark horse pick that that you feel is going to play well and maybe threaten for the championship.
Let me ask you this though: is Jeff Ogilvy playing?
100%, 100 to 1.
All right, I've got no dark horse, but I'm picking a guy who's a major champion who's really been rounding into some great form over the last couple of months. He's got the length, he's got the touch. I think it's a question of keeping him on the fairway like most players there. But I'm really, I really like Angel Cabrera.
I like that. And is that your dark horse or is that your pick to win?
That's just my pick to win.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Ian Poulter. I think he played pretty well. Obviously, played a good final round. Not playing as well at Firestone, but I think he's going to round into shape, hit a bunch of fairways, and I'm going to take Ian Poulter to win. Dark horse, I'm going to go with Ryan Moore. I think Ryan Moore is
Ryan's playing some pretty good golf right now.
And what characterizes as a dark horse, but he's 70 to 1. on the boards, and I think Ryan's playing some really, really good golf, and would like to see him threaten. Obviously he's as good a ball striker as there is out there.
Absolutely.
And then Jeff Ogilvy at 100-1. Obviously,
of course,
we'll throw
Jeff.
that in.
Jeff, we hope you make it. We hope you make the cut, buddy. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Pace of Play. Lee and I are going to be right back with you.